Well, the Warriors remain inactive in free agency, and the Golden State Warriors head coach Steve Kerr has now opened himself up to a little criticism coaching Team USA. Ryan Leong joins me next. This is Locked On Warriors.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Birddogs. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNBA or enter the promo code LockedOnNBA for a free water bottle with any purchase. You won't want to take your bird dogs off. We promise you. You can follow AP radio reporter Ryan Leong. He covers all the teams in the Bay Area at Ryan Leong on Twitter. You can follow me, Cyrus Saatsaz, on Threads. I'm officially anti-Twitter, Ryan, at Dog Wild. Ryan, how are you doing, man? Been a little while since we've had you on the program. And what is your first reaction to the Warriors offseason? How are you, man?
Good, Cyrus. Thanks for having me on. It's been a while, yeah. They really haven't had that much of an offseason. I mean, the biggest move, as we all know, was months ago when, the Warriors decided to make that big trade and they sent Jordan Poole. I would rather say they exiled him to Washington. I mean, not the worst team in the NBA, but certainly not a destination place you want to go to, in exchange for a very old Chris Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's not that guy that Kyrie Irving plays. Who's that old dude again that he plays in the movies? What's that skit?
Oh, Uncle Drew?
Yeah. He's not that old, but he's close. So I'm really surprised the Warriors picked him up. Granted, he's got a lot of experience. He's a good point guard, but I'm sorry, at his age, he's gonna be a guy coming off the bench, whether he wants to admit it or not, unless Steph Curry gets hurt. I just don't see how, which could happen, right? I mean, Steph unfortunately has kind of an injury history, but the Warriors have been rather quiet this offseason, and they're kind of trying to give it an all-in push with the old guys that they've got. Well, I say old, but the veteran guys they've got with Clay, Steph, Draymond, Chris Paul, and they're trying to see if they can make it back to the finals with that group. And I don't think they are. I think they'll be an okay team. I think they'll be good. I think they should at least get through to hopefully the second round of the playoffs, but we'll find out, come May, I guess, at this point, right? When that happens.
Like ATGYY keeps bringing up Christian Wood's name in the chat. I don't blame you. He's surprisingly still available. The last report we had of Christian Wood was like at least a month ago, I think closer to 2 months, where I forgot the name of the reporter who reported this, but apparently he didn't get any offers outside of a veteran minimum. There's no market for Christian Wood. There was a huge reason why we're doing the show today, Ryan. And you're right. I mean, the feedback which you just gave me and to the audience about the Warriors offseason so far, I agree with you. Right now, I don't know if there's enough on this team to make another championship run. Klay Thompson is in China right now with Kevon Looney, and there's a quote out there from him saying that he hopes to see his fans in China next year, coming off a 5th title in 10 seasons, or he just said the 5th title part. I don't know if there's enough, and I thought JaVale McGee would have been awesome. I think he would have solved a lot of problems. I know it sounds weird to say that the 14th man on a roster is solving problems, but when it comes to the Warriors and when it comes to the championship rosters they've had, they've gone that deep to win championships. I feel like I'm a broken record saying this, but that the strength in numbers adage rings true. And the biggest concern I have is there are a lot of teams in the Western Conference who have really big front courts, who have dominant centers, and who have dominant power forwards, dominant backup bigs. And I don't know the Warriors, because when you look at the Warriors front court right now, you have a Trace Jackson-Davis, a rookie, right? I mean, he looks good. We have no idea what to expect from him. We know Kevon Looney cannot defend some of the best bigs in the NBA. He's damn awesome, turned into one of the best rebounders in this game, maybe the best, but he can't defend Jokic. He can't defend Anthony Davis. So, and Dario Saric, he's not really known for defense, and he's also injury prone. I love the pickup, but if he's who you're relying on to defend some of the best bigs in the NBA, I'm here to tell you that's not going to fly, man. They're going to eat him up. So my question to you before we go into some names that are still out there, with JaVale McGee gone to the Kings. The Kings, I feel like, have snatched every free agent center this offseason. And Harry Giles III, another player we've been talking about on this show, a lot of fans were interested in him. He got signed by the Brooklyn Nets. I'm going to read off some names that are left. But Ryan, what are your thoughts on this front court, man? Because it's freaking me out. I'm going to read off in just a moment some of the other Western Conference elites and who they have to present to the Warriors in terms of power forward, centers. And when I list all these names, and if you don't take a pause from that, I don't think you're really following this that closely. The Warriors have issues when it comes to size. What are your thoughts, Ryan?
No, I agree. I mean, I don't think the Warriors have done a lot to shore up their to shore up their bigger guys, their big men rather, as you would say. And after watching last year's finals, I mean, you need a guy like the Denver Nuggets had. I mean, of course, there's only one Nikola Jokic, but I mean, he's the kind of guy I think that thrives in the NBA, and you're seeing that kind of big man now. You're not seeing the kind of guy, of course, like a Shaq, like a big guy who could just post up and then try to dunk it in the paint. Those kinds of big men those guys are retired. They're not coming back. But you need guys now that are able to run the floor, that can maybe shoot from the outside a little bit, not a lot. You don't need guys trying to nail threes all the time like Curry, but you do need guys that can spot up for open looks and then also drive the floor and then also distribute the ball. I think that's the kind of big men you need to have in the NBA to succeed these days, with all the way the game has changed, and the Warriors, of course, having this perimeter style offense where they want to shoot from outside as much as possible. That being the case, and you know this as well, Cyrus, the Warriors oftentimes don't have a guy who can really score points in the paint, and they need to work on that too. And you need that in order to be successful, especially when you can't get your outside shots to fall. So that's what I think. And the Warriors are missing that ingredient of a player to help them to the next level.
You're absolutely right, man. Especially when it comes to the postseason, you need someone who can get you easy buckets. And at least Steph is still in his prime. I mean, maybe defensively, he's, lost a smidge. And I don't know even know if he's lost it as much as when you get to his age, you're kind of watching your body, you're looking out for injuries. Maybe you're just not giving it the same all you did 5-10 years ago. But look, if Klay Thompson was still at the peak of his powers, I think you can survive without that person that gives you those easy buckets. The Warriors had that in previous title runs. People marginalize the importance of David Lee, but he was clutch for the Warriors in that Cavaliers series. You had Kevin Durant, who will give you easy buckets all day, every day for 2 of those championships. And the most recent run, Otto Porter Jr., grossly underrated. Nemanja Bjelica, grossly underrated. Jordan Poole. I mean, the Warriors lost him. They replaced him with Chris Paul. Those are 2 very different players offensively, and Chris Paul is not a notorious three-point shooter. So I'm totally with you. And these are the front courts that the Warriors have to deal with. All right. I'm looking at the standings just in the Western Conference. I'm not going to bother with the East, but look at the Denver Nuggets, for example. The Denver Nuggets. All right. Besides the fact that they have not only a 2-time MVP, but now a reigning world champion in Nikola Jokic. They also have Aaron Gordon you have to deal with. They also have Najee, the Zika, who's actually not that bad of a big. Christian Brown, who is not that big, actually does play pretty big. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope plays pretty big. Michael Porter Jr. is 6'8", 6'9". I don't know. So that's the Nuggets. That's just the Nuggets front court you have to deal with. All right. You got the Memphis Grizzlies. The Memphis Grizzlies have who? Steven Adams, who's 7 feet 7'1", damn near 300 pounds. Jaren Jackson Jr. currently playing for Team USA. They got Xavier Tillman, who's 7 feet and super big. They got Kenny Lofton Jr., who's a big. Santi Albama, who's a big. That's just the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm going to go through a few more of these. Sit with me. The Sacramento Kings, who I think got a lot better this offseason. When you look at their bigs, they just got JaVale McGee. They already have Domantas Sabonis. They already have Alex Len. Trey Lyles, who's 6'8", would be practically a center for the Golden State Warriors. He's a third string wing for the Sacramento Kings. The Kings added Nerlens Noel. The Kings added JaVale McGee. Chris Duarte, who they added as a wing, is 6'8". So the only other team out there, I got to read the Lakers too. The Lakers are probably the most intimidating front court. You look at the Lakers depth. They got Anthony Davis, who they just gave an extension to. Jared Vanderbilt, who was 6'9", 6'10". Dude, that dude is huge. Rory Hachimura is huge. LeBron James could be a center on most rosters. And they got Cam Reddish. They got Rory Hachimura. So the point is, a lot of teams have a lot of bigs. And I don't know in what world we're living in right now where the Warriors think that they could just ignore this like massively huge problem of no size. What do you think, Ryan? Like, what is going through their heads right now? Like, can you take a guess as to what they're thinking in terms of creating a roster that just has no size to combat what these other teams are bringing?
I really don't know, Cyrus, to be honest. And again, it's really interesting when you see how the Warriors are just kind of like, it's almost like playing a hand of blackjack, and the Warriors are at like, I don't know, like, let's say they have a hand of 12 and they're holding with 12, right? It's like, I don't know. I mean, you could win, but the chances are really unlikely when you have 12 in your hand. You got to hit. And I just don't think the Warriors right now have a good hand right now, and they're standing pat with a very low number on the table.
You're absolutely right, Ryan. When we come back, I'm going to read off some names that are still out there. It's not like all hope is lost. There are still players that the Warriors could add to this roster, some bigs, in fact. And look, here's the thing. I understand. Like, there's people in the chat, for example, who write, like Andrew the GOAT says JaVale McGee is overrated. Maybe so. But what the Warriors are lacking on their roster that they desperately need, that someone like JaVale McGee could have brought to the table, is 10 to 15 minutes a night guarding with not hopelessness, with actually some effectiveness, a Nikola Jokic, an Anthony Davis, a Jaren Jackson Jr. Like, you need someone out there on this to bring to the table who can give you just 10 to 15 minutes a night, just to give Kevon Looney, Trace Jackson Davis, Dario Saric, just to give them a breather in these games. If Draymond Green is given the task of guarding all these bigs night after night, that body is going to break down by the time the postseason comes. Never mind the fact that he's going to get in foul trouble on top of that. Never mind the fact that he's turning 34 years old. Draymond cannot be a full-time big like he has in years past. So it's a concern. There are some players still out there. We're going to talk about that when we come back. Got to give some love first. Let me get this overlay to Birddogs. Dude, Ryan, when you think of men's clothing, like what do you think of in terms, like, I hate shopping personally, and this is where I think this ad helps a lot of people. Do you like to shop? Like, what are you shopping for? What are you looking for when you're buying clothes?
Boy, I haven't in a while, but usually, you want to find a nice shirt, maybe some nice pants. And yeah, I think, a lot of times can you find something that's a good fit for when you're going out? Although these days we're wearing t-shirts. I mean, a lot of people are just pretty casual these days. T-shirt seems to be the uniform for almost anybody these days. But yeah, if you want to dress up a little bit, you got a night out in town with a lady, maybe a nice collared shirt, maybe something fancier, but as opposed to just wearing jeans, No,
you're absolutely right. And that's where Birddogs comes into play, man. Birddogs covers two bases in one. It covers the comfort angle, because all of us, like most of us anyways, I feel like our homebodies, we just love to chill. The residual of the pandemic is, guess what? Chilling on the couch is actually super comfortable and fun and nice. What Birddogs does is gives you the comfort. So if you're just chilling at home doing absolutely nothing, you feel good doing it. And let's say all of a sudden you've got a partner out there, you got a friend, you got whoever it is saying, we got to go out, we got to get some food, we got to go to the store, and you don't have to change, because Birddogs is also about looks. It gives you comfort and it gives you style, all in one purchase. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnWarriors or enter the promo code LockedOnWarriors. Actually, I apologize. Let me rephrase that. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNBA or enter the promo code LockedOnNBA at checkout for a free Birddogs water bottle with your purchase. I got one of those. I love it. I take it around with me everywhere. That's birddogs.com/LockedOnNBA for a free water bottle at checkout. You won't want to take your Birddogs off. We promise you.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
The chat's blowing up. Thank you very much for joining the program. Thank you for tuning in to our daily program. We're going to be daily again, by the way, in 2 weeks. Training camps are just around the corner. And thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. Every day, stay tuned for the program. Kylan Mills is going to join me again shortly, in addition to a lot of other guests as well. And Ryan Leong right now, a reporter covering the Warriors, covering the Niners, Giants, you name it. He covers it for AP Radio. You can follow him on Twitter at Ryan Leong, Ryan, last name Leong. All right, we're going to cover some names. I keep seeing Christian Wood in the chat. Look, what are your thoughts on Christian Wood, man? Let's talk about that real quick. I've been saying that, look, if he's a difficult human being to deal with, if that's a reason why no one is signing him, I mean, can't we ask our coaches to earn their dollars? Can we ask our coaches to work with the individual, coach him, ingrain in him that this is a team mentality, that this is a cohesive unit, and that if he plays for this team and does well, he could get a big contract next year. I have hope that if Christian Wood comes, good things would happen. I want Christian Wood. I
agree. I mean, I think for a guy of his stature, and his size, hey, 6'10", that's nothing to sneeze at. That means you could play power forward and center. And he had some pretty decent numbers last year. I mean, that's kind of what you always want to look at, is how did he do last season? And I think, for a guy who was averaging, 16.5 points per game, I mean, that's a great start right there, and 6 rebounds and about almost 2 assists per game. I mean, that's great. I mean, especially the 16.6 and 6 rebounds. I mean, that's big. And getting about a board and a half on the offensive end every game. I mean, those are good numbers. The Warriors could definitely use someone like that. They don't have someone like that right now in their arsenal. And I know you don't want to think about players as like weapons, but that's basically how you have to look at it, and the depth. I mean, kind of like playing a game of chess, I guess. But yeah, he's a piece the Warriors would definitely like to have on their roster.
I agree. I totally agree. I would not mind Christian Wood. And as Jill Espina writes in our chat, Kerr can handle Wood. I totally agree. So, and look, Fable JVC writes it would be Draymond handling Wood. Then let him. I mean, these are the veterans of this team are directing this ship right now. So put that impetus on him. We'll give you the talent. You work with it. Do some coaching of your own. Do some mentoring. Be the veteran that you are. The Warriors are paying Draymond a buttload of money, man. Earn it besides just simply, grabbing rebounds and playing defense. Like, coach these individuals. Like, the Warriors need talent. Another player I'm hearing a lot of that I wouldn't mind, by the way, is Bismack Biyombo. He's currently just sitting out there. He's been with the Suns the last 2 seasons. I wouldn't mind Bismack Biyombo either. What I want in a big is someone who's going to come in and play some defense. Again, just make life difficult for the Jokic's of the world, the Anthony Davises of the world. You need someone who's going to help out with those kind of players. I don't know what the answer is right now for the Warriors. Bismack Biyombo would not be a liability in that regards. I wouldn't mind him. What are your thoughts on a Bismack Biyombo who's out there right now?
Another guy. I mean, he's a little shorter. He's 6'8", but that's another good position because technically he plays. He's listed as center. So yeah, like we were saying, the Warriors, for some reason, I don't know what it is, and in fact, you could probably answer this better than I can, Cyrus. But it seems like Steve Kerr is allergic to playing big guys.
Or we're going to get into that in just a second because Steve Kerr is currently coaching Team USA. And they lost the game last night, earlier this morning, that they should not have lost. I mean, they're incredibly fortunate that it was not a single elimination game. They're officially now in that part of this tournament. Every game from this point forward will be a single elimination. They're now entering the quarterfinals. They're going to play Italy next. We're going to get into that in just a minute because the small ball thing did play a part in the Warriors losing this game. Is there anyone? And again, Fable JVC, thank you. This is exactly what you want from whoever you sign for your 14th man. Fable JVC writes, Bismack would give us 6 fouls and 8 rebounds. That's all you want. Perfect. Give us those 6 fouls. Give us those 8 rebounds. Make life a little difficult for the opposing bigs. Make some other defense, but just don't be a liability out there, right? That's the ultimate goal. I would absolutely love that from whoever they sign for the 14th spot. And then ATGY also brings up Boogie Cousins. Glenn Robinson III came in recently, even though he's much more of a perimeter player than a big. Are there any other free agents out there that come to mind that you could think of? Is there anyone else out there that you would like? Juan Toscano-Anderson, I know, is a likelihood. Would that excite you at all, Ryan? JTA?
JTA, well, sure, yeah. I mean, he loves playing for the Warriors. I mean, the guy being from Oakland, and he's always had a special affinity for the area. So yeah, I mean, of course, if you were to come back, that's a no-brainer. I mean, he's already a fan favorite, and I think he just brings like a spark to the team, which is always wanted, right? And you'll take it because you need guys like that. It's one of the reasons why the Warriors have Draymond Green. But when Draymond isn't on the team, or you always need someone else besides him to help out, JTA would be a perfect fit. I
totally agree. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. If that's what we end up with. I'll be happy. I don't think he can contribute the same way that JaVale McGee could, but again, he knows the system. He did play center for the Warriors in their last championship run. I was going to post the link to actually invite some people onto the show, but for some reason, it's not letting me. I don't know if I just am not allowed to do that. Maybe I can. Maybe it's locked on policy and they restricted my my system. I guess I can. I do apologize for that. Let's go into Team USA real fast. All right. Steve Kerr is the head coach. He's got a coaching staff that includes Mark Few of Gonzaga, Eric Spoelstra of the Miami Heat. And today was the last game of group play that kind of determined the seedings for the remaining 8 teams in the tournament. The United States team is in the quarterfinals, so they're going to play Italy next. But they lost the game against Lithuania that they really should have won. Like, Lithuania has, I believe, one NBA player on the roster, maybe 2. The only one I could think of is Valanciunas, the big 7-footer who does he play for right now? Is it New Orleans? I think. But Lithuania is not a team that should have been beating Team USA. And what stuck out to me for Team USA in this game is that Steve Kerr went small. Steve Kerr decided to play with what he likes to do. You and I were talking about this, Ryan, before we started recording, that Steve Kerr is, for some odd reason, has morphed into Don Nelson 2.0. Like, he loves small ball. He just has this affinity for smaller players. I still don't have a really clear-cut answer why, but to put it in perspective for this game tonight, Jalen Brunson played 23 minutes. All right, he had the third highest minutes. Anthony Edwards has been the best player for Team USA, so there's no argument with playing him 29 minutes, right? He scored 35 points, led all scorers, but second most minutes was Mikal Bridges, 26 minutes. Okay, he's a wing, he plays defense, fair enough. But your 3 players getting the most minutes in this game are 6'5" or smaller, right? Jalen Brunson is like, 6'1", 6'2". Mikal Bridges, 6'7", 6'8", I believe. Oh, no, I guess so. He's taller. I'm sorry. He's 6'7", 6'8". But all the team's bigs, Walker Kessler played 6 minutes. Paolo Banchero, 17 minutes, and that's a high number. Cam Johnson played 11 minutes. Jaren Jackson Jr., 15 minutes. These are all the low numbers. And then Bobby Portis, call him a big, 11 minutes. He went small. Steve Kerr went small and it bit him in the ass. The team, as a result of going small, was out-rebounded in this game, 43-27. They got especially killed on the offensive glass, 18-9. And they lost this game 110-104. Your thoughts, Ryan, if any?
Well, yeah, I was going to look at the rebounding numbers, which you just mentioned, and I'm looking at the box score now, and that's the one thing I looked for already is like what was the rebounding edge, and you just said it. I mean, that's just they got killed on the glass. I mean, they got killed in both ends of it, both on the offensive boards and the defensive glass as well. So, I mean, and the Warriors have had that problem last season, right? Even though I know we're not talking about the Warriors here, there's a lot of Warrior-ish problems here when you look at the box score, and the only thing where they did better is, of course, they had fewer turnovers than Lithuania. But turnovers sometimes can lead to your benefit because that means you're moving the ball, or at least you're trying to. So, yeah, I just think the Team USA played extremely conservative, as you mentioned. And a lot of these guys aren't getting that many minutes anyway. I mean, I guess minutes-wise, they play the same number of minutes as they would in an NBA game, right? 200 total on each side?
Correct, yeah. It's same 12-minute quarters, 4 quarters, yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. Just the totals here are just like, I mean, it's just very, very low. It's very underperforming is how I would describe it outside of Anthony Edwards.
And someone in the chat also mentioned how Josh Hart started the game for Team USA and Josh Hart, is another perimeter wing type player. Whereas Brandon Ingram is sitting on the bench, Paolo Banchero sitting on the bench. Paolo Banchero, I thought, has been playing a great tournament so far. I know Austin Reeves had a bad game. I don't know, but it's just weird. It's like, I don't understand this, like, he has like almost like a phobia of playing bigs. It's like, if you're taller than 6'9", he's like, ooh, I don't like you. I there's something about you.
And then look at Lithuania. Lithuania's top scorer only had 15 points. Although they did have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys in double figures. Is that right? If I read that correctly?
Sure.
So,
1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, yeah, I count that correct too.
But 7, yes. But that goes to show you that's good in that sense. But it's bad in the sense that, like, again, the top guy only had 15 points, and they still managed to beat Team USA by 6.
Yeah,
so,
And the threes weren't falling for Team USA either. They shot they had 4 more 3-point attempts than Lithuania. So they had 29 3-point attempts to 25 for Lithuania, but Lithuania made 14 of them for 56%, and Team USA just wasn't hitting their threes. There were 11 of 29 total. But yeah, we saw this. I've been curious. I must admit that I've been watching these Team USA games, which usually come on at like 3 a.m. I think they're playing in the Philippines. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. So sometimes like I'll just randomly wake up in the middle of the night and flip it on and it's there. And I'm like, yes. And I'll watch these games. But I am scrutinizing it because I am curious to see if this is who Steve Kerr is. And you look at this roster and you look at who's getting the minutes. And so far, yeah, the affinity for small players continues. Anyway, so look, this offseason, it's hard to talk about basketball right now. Any final thoughts, Ryan, as we wrap up the show here on a Sunday night in the middle of Labor Day?
I mean, it's already September 3rd, right? The Warriors, first preseason games will be sometime at the end of this month, or is it early October, right? And
I don't know. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm curious to know what the schedule is. I know we're going back to full time in 2 weeks, where we're going to be a 5-day-a-week
take a look here while I got you on here. I mean, I'll just take a quick gander, but I know it's coming soon. Yeah, I mean, like, okay, yeah. So the first preseason game is October 7th, so just roughly a month from now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But it's coming fast, and then the regular season is gonna be here. Okay, well, it's not until October 24th, but so they pushed it back a little bit more than what it used to be, but still, I mean, they're starting games in a month.
It's crazy.
And the Warriors,
so that means media days around the corner. That means training camps around the corner. I'm so pumped, dude. There was a void in my life when basketball is not on. I know you're covering all the sports, so you've got Niners covered. You're going to baseball game. What are your thoughts on the Niners, by the way, man? Like that first game starts next week. Any thoughts on the San Francisco 49ers, dude? Are they looking good to you? Are they contenders?
Well, yeah, they look pretty good, but they still haven't signed Nick Bosa yet. And we were talking off mic about how, Kyle Shanahan faces a little bit more scrutiny with the media than Steve Kerr does with the Warriors. And, there's all this talk about how they would never entertain trading a Nick Bosa, who obviously is their franchise player. I mean, he basically is their defense. If he's not playing, which he hasn't, and you hope that in this day and age, again, athletes are so well conditioned, missing preseason is not going to matter. But still, he's still not signed yet. And they start playing, for real in a week, about next Sunday, right? They start for real. So,
correct.
I mean, they better do something and get him inked to a contract, because they need him for sure. I mean, trading away Trey Lance is one thing, and that was pretty bad too, because they gave up so much in drafts just to get him, and then basically send him off to Dallas, which is like, trading a Warriors player to, I guess what, the Lakers? Who's your most hated rival? But that's your most hated rival.
I say Lakers is who I go with.
Lakers, so that'd be like sending Trey Lance to the Lakers.
Yeah,
I mean,
I hear you on that.
Like that. So I think the Niners got a lot of egg on their face for doing that.
Absolutely. By the way, I got to give respect to Douglas Mikes in the chat, who mentions Guy Santos playing some fantastic ball for Brazil in the World Cup. I do want to second that as well. Guy Santos is looking damn good. Don't expect much from him this coming year, but next year, strong possibility. Don't be surprised if him and Lester Quinones start playing some real minutes. But sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. And then somebody talked to ATGYY talked about how the Warriors, when they lost in the playoffs, it was a relief. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that. I mean, the Warriors, I think, got about as far as they could. I really didn't see them going any further than where they got, and they played exactly to where I thought they would get. The Lakers ended up losing to the Nuggets, as they should have. So everything, I think, played out just fine for the Warriors last season. And again, the roster they have constructed now, I don't even know if they get to the second round, to be honest, because when you think about it, they got pretty damn lucky against Sacramento. Sacramento ended up losing the series because Steph Curry played out of his mind in Game 7, and the Kings missed a lot of threes when they could have made them in earlier games, right? I mean, I'm drawing a blank now on the player's name for the Kings, but they had some guys that were just missing a ton of open looks when they could have had.
Herder. Yeah, you're right.
Herder was Herder. Awful. Herder was the guy that. Yeah, now I remember. Yeah, Kevin Herder was the guy, and the rookie. Why am I drawing a blank on his name?
Oh, Keegan Murray.
It's Keegan Murray also he made no shots when he should have made them earlier in the game. And I know Scott Moak, their PA announcer, didn't get a chance to like sing song his name like he loves to, because he wasn't making shots.
Yeah.
But if those guys made their shots earlier, the Warriors don't even get to a game 7, in my opinion.
You're absolutely right.
Anyway.
And real fast, I got to disagree with Jay Boogie here, who says Team USA didn't lose because of small ball. Lithuania got ridiculously hot from 3, and we played awful defense. Those things can't be true, and the rebound, I think, could be a huge I mean, look, the Warriors got Team USA got outscored in the opening quarter, 31-12. Okay, which is awful, but that means the Team USA only scored 12 points. When the bigger you are, the easier the ball goes into the bucket. It's not rocket science to say that in basketball, but ultimately, when you're a team that loses by just 6 and you got out-rebounded 43-27, yes, rebounding does play a part in this. Sorry, Ryan. I know
I couldn't agree more. In fact, when you look at a team that loses, one of the things I always look for is the rebounding edge. But you're right. I didn't even look at that until now. But yeah, that first quarter, that's really bad to only score 12 points. I mean, in that sense, they should feel fortunate they only lost by 6 points.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So again, fortunate for Team USA. Hopefully they got that out of their systems and they win the next 3 games to win the cup, the FIBA World Cup. Again, this is a precursor to the Olympics next year. Ryan, man, thanks for coming on. Anything? Again, this is tough, dude. Hosting programs this time of year is tough. I do want to give one more mention real quick before we go. An upcoming guest on this show has made a Stephen Curry documentary. It's not the one that everyone's watching. I believe it's on Disney Plus. Am I correct on that? The
could be. I know you're talking about. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's the one that got all the hype. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but if people want to watch that, is it Apple TV or is it Disney Plus? It's one or the other.
I think it's Apple TV.
There you go. Thank you. So, but there is another Stephen Curry documentary out there, and I strongly recommend checking it out. I think it's called Babyface. I'm trying to look right now and see if I could find it real fast before we call it a wrap. But I was really lucky to narrate this documentary, at least be one of the guests in it. Actually talking a little bit, and I just want to give it some love because I believe Trice Davis. I'm trying to find it right now. God damn it! I'm really annoyed at myself for not having this prepared beforehand.
You always. Well, I said, I'll tell you. You stop using the Elon Musk platform for social media. But I was gonna say,
I did.
Otherwise, I'll tweet it out. I still call it Twitter. I don't care if he owns it and how much he paid $44 billion for it. It's Twitter to me, and I like that you have the logo of the bird still in the. That's even more awesome.
Unless Locked On tells us that we need to change that. That's gonna stay where it's at for a very long time. But regardless, if you just go and search for if you go on YouTube and just search Stephen Curry, it'll come right up. Here it is, Trice High. Thank you. So the name of the filmmaker is Trice High, and the documentary is called Wardell. So if you just go to YouTube, it's a 5-part documentary, and now 2 parts of it are released. Just go to YouTube and type Wardell. It's a 5-part docu-series. It's brought to you by Trice High, and I'm going to get Trice on the show soon to talk about that and Steph and get his thoughts. Let's get you on regularly.
Before you let me go, I want to ask you, am I going to see you at Chase Center this year?
Hell yeah. I'm going to be there all the time, man.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Because I know last year I only saw you a handful of times, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was there like the first half of the season, and then life happened.
You take care of your dog, right?
Yeah. The dog was a huge part of it. I know. But I got a babysitter for the dog. I got time. I'm going to be there a lot, dude. I want to be a fixture at Chase Center from now on. So cool. You're going to be there a lot too, right?
Yeah. I look forward to your spirited conversation with Steve Kerr in pre and post game.
Well, that's impossible to have. I mean, Steve, he's a media savant, right? Like you can't have when he does the Q&As from the interview room, you can't have a conversation. You can ask a question and then you're done, right?
Right. But let's put it this way: at least if you're there, you can ask the question.
That's true. That is true, and I will, and I definitely will. But he's so freaking good at answering difficult questions with giving non-answers, right? Like he's a whiz at that.
He's pretty good.
You can come up with the best questions on the planet, and he'll just give you this totally evasive, abstract answer that has no specificity to it, but does answer your question technically. And then so you're just left there, like sitting there like a schmuck because you asked this great question and got no answer, and there's nothing else you could do. But yeah, you're right. I will be there to ask the questions. I will say this.
I'll preface it this way. At least you'll get the opportunity to ask the questions that don't even get asked half the time, right?
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
And you were good, man. I'm usually busy getting post game, and I have to go to the other teams. So I don't have time to talk to Kerr in post game. And usually when I do, it's pregame. But that's why I'm looking forward to seeing you there.
That's true. You're absolutely right. I'm gonna see if there's Dwight. Some people in the chat are saying Dwight Howard. I'd love him, but he's not coming to the Warriors. Yeah, it's just for some reason, Steve Kerr does not like bigs. It's just not his thing. So,
and lastly, I'd say this: even if they were to get a guy like DeMarcus Cousins back, what did he do last year? Because he didn't play last year at all, right? What was he? Was he hurt?
Correct. He played in some pro league in Puerto Rico recently and dominated. Now look, he better dominate. It's Puerto Rico, but. Nonetheless, he looks like he's still in shape. He looks like he can play, but I think a lot of these bigs are just getting ostracized, man. They're similar to the running back in the NFL, dude. Like centers in the NBA are just, if you can't hit 3-pointers and if you're not just a badass, otherwise, you're done. You're out. I mean,
here's the one glaring thing I noticed with Cousins since you mentioned him. Ever since the 2018-2019 season, he's not averaged double digits. The closest he got was 9.6 points per game when he played for Houston that one year in the 2021 season.
Right.
So, he's not getting any younger. So, but still, I would say this. I mean, the Warriors need somebody. They need somebody to fill up the paint. They need someone.
You're right. You're absolutely right. We'll see what the Warriors do. I will say this, Ryan, and I think I'm speaking on behalf of everyone. Please correct me if I'm wrong here. I'm sure as interested and excited. I mean, I'm titillated. I am very intrigued with this Warriors team. Like, I mean, covering Chris Paul, that alone will be a whole other caveat that that a whole new wrinkle to this thing that I think will be fascinating. Like how is that locker room going to look? Did you ever end up getting tier 1, by the way? Like, can you get into the locker room now?
I got it after the end, after the All-Star break last season. And I will say this too: what's interesting about having Chris Paul now on the Warriors is he's always been kind of like the nemesis for the Warriors, right? He's always been the guy that, hey, here's the best player the Warriors don't have, or he's on the other team. Well, now he's on your team. So how is he gonna adjust to a system that is maybe different than what he's used to? That's the biggest question mark, I think, and of course his age.
Yeah, and I'm really excited. This is a great call. The Chris Paul, Jonathan Kuminga pick and roll, man. I am excited to see Jonathan Kuminga. Do you think he's going to get his run this year? Well, into that note, will Kerr finally?
I sure hope Kuminga? He does, because if he doesn't, he's going to want. He's already hinted he wants to be traded if he doesn't get more playing time, right?
He gave some hints of that. Yes, I don't know if he used those words, but yeah.
And I would say now is the time. If he can do it this season, then everything will be fine. Because I think he needed a couple years to kind of get used to, acclimating into the league, and he's still how was he 22?
20. He's not even 21 yet.
He's not even 21 yet. Yeah, I knew he was young still, but I thought he was okay. See, there you go. That's how young he is. So now is the time for him to shine.
Absolutely right. No, you're absolutely there, man. So, all right, folks, have a great rest of the weekend. Ryan, folks, follow Ryan Leong on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Twix, at Ryan Leong, RyanLeong. Follow me on Threads at Dogwild. The program is still on Twitter. You can follow the show there at Locked On Dubs. Ryan, man, thanks again for coming on. Everyone in the chat, thank you for participating. And we'll be back at this soon. We're good, right? We're done? We're out? Is that it? Peace out. Have a great weekend. Later, Ryan. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.